Welcome back, Truth Seeker. The story has evolved since yesterday. The Islamic extremists who attacked the Jewish pro-Israeli protesters at the Jewish Community Center in Boulder, Colorado, has been named as Mohammed Solomon, reminding a bit of Soleimani in that whole debacle. But they're also saying he was in the country illegally. And today, ICE is announcing their biggest illegal immigrant crackdown. But think about the day of this attack, right? Sunday, June 1st, 6-1. Mohammed Solomon, 61. And remember, 61 is not an arbitrary number. This practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Kabbalah, is called Gematria, and it means geometry and language. And in sacred geometry, the number that represents God is 61, because the flower of life, the symbol that all other shapes come out of, or I should say the shape that all other shapes come out of in sacred geometry, is made out of 61 overlapping circles. Within English, Jesus equals 61, cross 61, church 61, Christian 61, Christmas 61. Not an arbitrary number, and this story has everything to do with religion, and religion has everything to do with people's belief in God. And for a lot of people, it becomes their ego, and then people who don't have the same beliefs as them, they don't like them, they hate them, sometimes they kill them, they go to war with them, sometimes they throw fire on them. That's the story in this case. But all of the media is also referring to this with the phrase targeted terror attack. They're all in unison. It doesn't matter if you're watching MSNBC, Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, BBC. They're all using the phrase targeted terror attack. This came exactly 86 weeks after Netanyahu declared war on Hamas, which was October 8th, 2023. Notice in Gematria, targeted terror attack 86. And some media is referring to his full three-part name, Mohammed Sabri Solomon. That's his full name. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, it's 108. What day did Netanyahu declare war? October 8th, right? 10-8. And keep in mind, that's a spiritual number too. That number shows up in a lot of, prayer beads, sun salutations. The word geometry itself equals 108, forwards and backwards. You can run the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Remember, it has to do with the sun, moon, and earth. They say the diameter of the sun is 108 earths, and from the earth to the sun is the diameter of the sun 108 times, and the diameter of the moon to the earth is 108 moons. They say that's how you get that perfect symmetry for eclipses. But yeah, interesting numbers. And we all know what 86th means. I mean, everybody in the world knows what 86th means, except for James Comey, who did his 8647, 8,647 days after 9/11. But yeah, the other part of this is how it happened right before Shavuot. And if you're new here, these are the four base ciphers of the English language: alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order, both orders with numerology. Again, all of these ciphers are alluded to in Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, written in 1926. I wrote a book about this. Well, I've written a couple books about this now. Should have written several books about this by now, but I just won't finish anything that I've been working on. Anyway, these are the four base ciphers. You see how Shavuot has the 83 connection, as does anti-Semitism, as does Boulder, Colorado, as does Colorado alone. You might recall that was a big number in the Colorado taking Trump off the ballot and then reinstating him, and people shooting up the courthouse. You might recall that. But notice also how Colorado, which is the 38th state, does equal 38. I left it off there. Unbelievable that I left it off there. The word fire also equals 38. And you see how Shavuot's 25, fire also equals 25. And you see how Boulder, Colorado is also 70, fire's also 25. I showed this in yesterday's video on this. This is part 2. But yeah, fire in the base ciphers, 38, 20, 70, 25. From left to right, that's how I'd read it. It would be 38, 20, 70, 25. And like I said at the beginning of the year, expect a lot of fire stories, probably a lot of wildfires in 2025. Well, that prediction's been dead on the money, because they're saying this is the worst year for fires in a long time. We're starting to get some of that Canadian smoke in the air where I am right now. It's real bad in the middle of the country. I got family in North Dakota, said it's messing up their crops. But yeah, this also did happen on a date with 52 numerology. 6 plus 1 plus 20 plus 25. You can see anti-Semitism's that way. Terrorist is also 52. Think about the Osama bin Laden story on May 2nd, back in 2011 on 5-2. And that 8-3, that recurring pattern, the zip code in Boulder is, or at least where the Jewish Community Center is 80303. They also said a Holocaust survivor was there. They said a Holocaust survivor was one of the people harmed by this fire attack. And I've talked about this many times. The word Holocaust means burnt offering. And it does equal 70, like Boulder, Colorado, like fire. And they all have this 70 connection. A flamethrower and Molotov cocktails. And just the whole Molotov cocktail, that's something that comes from Russia. And, of course, Ukraine and Russia are warring right now. And a lot of people in Israel, their ancestry dates back to where that war's happening in ancient Khazaria. And we all know about the ritual with the money that was proposed, the $95 billion on Small Mustache Man, and how Biden signed off on it on the 201st day of the war in Israel. For a couple more points, this event was called Run for Their Lives. Just kind of think about that with a terrorist coming at them with fire, people running for their lives. But Run for Their Lives equals 213. This happened on the day leaving 213 days left in the year. And this is the attacker, right? Does that not look like an undercover cop to you? Because I look at this guy, I'm thinking, we've seen this before. If you remember the London Bridge attacks years ago, a lot of us lost our channels over the London Bridge attack. And the reason we lost it is because we all shared the same video footage, which was not doctored. It wasn't in this age of AI where you can just make up fake videos. It was captured. The police in London were changing into costumes that were the terrorists. We shared that footage and Google deleted our channels for it. So, yeah, this stuff does happen where police do dress up as the perpetrators. And not to mention, CNN even showed this to you years ago, how police perform drills in communities to simulate a realistic situation where they got to take down a bad guy. I showed this footage years ago on CNN where they showed how they do it in malls, theaters, schools, public places to add to the realism. And they said a lot of times they don't notify people that it's actually just a drill. If you want to go back and look at when CNN ran that story, it was the same time there was the Planned Parenthood shooting in Colorado. And what community was that in Colorado? Something Springs, I think. Colorado Springs, is that the name of the town? I think that's what it was. But it was around the same time that happened that CNN ran that story about the simulated drills and how officers do dress up as and play the part of the other characters. But I look at this guy and I'm like, God, this guy that doesn't look like a Muslim to me, man. Clean shaven, that's military police. I mean, most Muslim guys have beards. And, not crop top, bleach hair with their little, cop-looking shades. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. As long as people continue to doubt this information, the same shit's going to continue to go on day after day. That's the other big problem. Oh, look, Ben Shapiro's weighing in on it. Why? How did I even just get a notification for that? I've never signed up for the Daily Wire. That's what I mean with these big tech platforms. They just feed the shit they want everybody to have. They censor people like me, and all of a sudden I'm getting notifications for the Daily Wire. Unbelievable. I don't know how anybody listens to that little twerp. We'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. Till next time.